Hi everyone, it's Sophia from Velvet Way, and today I'm doing a video on 4 different BJD eye designs you can create using nail art supplies. I'm starting off with my 12, 14, 16, and 18mm eye mold. I sell these in my Etsy shop, link in the description. I'm coloring my 2-part resin in opaque white and mixing it very thoroughly to make sure we get a consistent color. The resin I use is also a bit on the thinner side, so it's easier to work with in smaller quantities. My technique for preventing bubbles in my bases is dripping the resin in and then running your tool along the edge of each eye base at the bottom. Pouring the resin outright pretty much guarantees that at least one bubble will get trapped in that edge, and that ruins the base, and that's a waste of your time and resin. I then fill the rest of the cavities as usual. I actually prefer to overfill a tiny bit to avoid that sharp edge and to make the bases a bit rounder at the bottom. But you can always glaze the eyes with clear resin after unmolding if you prefer doing it that way. Finally, I use a barbecue lighter to get rid of any surface bubbles. Depending on your resin, you will have to cure your pieces 10 to 24 hours. I generally cure mine around 16 before I unmold safely. And as you can see, all of these came out perfectly, absolutely no bubbles in sight, so that technique definitely works. Keep in mind that you can use any pigments or glitters in your eye bases if you're going for a more fantasy look. And our primary tool for today is going to be a UV lamp. Each time I cure, it's for 1 minute or 60 seconds. I also use a variety of gel polishes, different colors and textures. I purchased mine on Amazon and AliExpress, but they're sold all over the internet and otherwise nowadays, so not hard to find at all. I also like to grab a piece of scrap paper to protect my working surface from resin and gels, and we're on to our first pair of eyes. I'm using a light blue bundle monster polish, and I'm painting the inside of the pupil as you would with paint. And these are great because you can play around with the color or the design until you're happy. Gel polish doesn't dry until you cure it in the lamp, so you could be waiting like 3 hours before curing and that'll be all good. I tend to do 2 layers of my gel polish, but 1 is probably more than enough in most cases because most polishes are quite pigmented. After curing, I'm going to use some white gel polish with a silicone tool. You can definitely use a brush for this part, but I prefer the silicone tool because it is super easy to clean and it's also very cheap. And this one was purchased in a set from a nail art shop with a few other shapes. I'm just painting on some little short lines to make the iris a bit more detailed. I have some glitters and half pearls here, and I'm using a no wipe top coat as a base for all the glitters and charms I'm planning to put inside. Using my fake crystal katana from AliExpress, and after I've arranged the inclusions how I want them, I cure in the lamp. We've got some butterflies, some caviar beads and rhinestones. The final step is applying a layer of no wipe top coat and creating a nice dome shape to your eyes so that they reflect the light better and completely cover up any of the bumpy surface underneath. And after you've applied it, you want to cure it so that it doesn't go everywhere. And that's what they look like after curing. The second pair of eyes are painted this holographic gray color, and this gel polish is a lot thinner in consistency and definitely needed the 2 layers for proper coverage. After curing, I painted a layer of no white top coat and cured again. This is to allow the holographic chrome powder to stick properly to the iris cavity. The chrome powder I'm using is from Born Pretty on AliExpress. It's not the best powder, but it definitely does the job. And I'm using an eyeshadow sponge applicator to rub the powder in, and then I'm switching to a silicone tool. Personally, you only need one of the two, and I prefer the sponge applicator over the silicone tool by far. I'm then applying a few drops of the no white top coat and using these holographic sparkle glitters from AliExpress as accents. And after curing, I'm finishing the eyes off with another layer to create that dome shape, and curing once again. And that's the final product. Our third pair of eyes, just as previously, are being painted using a gel polish. And this one is a pastel pink with a little bit of shimmer in it, and I'm actually wearing it on my nails in this video. After curing that layer, I'm dripping in some no white top coat. And I'll be using these strawberry themed nail stickers, applying 2 identical ones into the eyes and sticking them to the bottom of the iris cavity to make sure they don't flow upwards. And after curing, I'm creating the dome shape with the no white top coat once again and curing again. And that's what they look like. The final pair of eyes are painted a dark blue. I actually lost the footage somehow, so after curing, I'm filling the cavities with no white top coat all the way to the edge. You might have to do this in a few layers for it to cure all the way through though. And since we're doing nail stamping, you'll need a plate, a stamp, this one is clear, a scraper, and some acetone for cleanup. I'm using a silver stamping polish here, applying a thin strip to the design, scraping the excess, picking up with the stamper, and placing it onto my eye base. I actually got both of the eyes with that one design, and the possibilities are truly endless here. You can do so many designs as there are nail plates, and there's a lot of nail plates out there, let me tell you. So I'm cleaning up the overhang with some acetone and a Q-tip to make sure it's as neat as it can be. And then creating the dome shape as we have done many times previously, and curing afterwards. Please be careful when you handle the eye bases in between curing. I ended up touching the base with my fingernail, and I didn't notice until after I cured it. Unfortunately, it left a pretty noticeable drip, and these eyes can not be used for anything anymore, which is such a shame. And these are the final BJD eyes in some better lighting. I like the versatility of using nail art supplies. There are so many options from realistic to completely crazy, and making these eyes this way is so much faster than using 2-part resin for each step. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and check out my Instagram and Etsy store, link in the description below. Cheers!